Hey, can you guys hear me? Awesome. How you doing, Stephanie? Doing great. All right. Lots to showcase this week. It's going to be a showcase week.
Nice. Showcase week.
Yes. We're going to play Martian Resident. We're going to play Outpost Surge. And then we're going to answer some questions, I guess. Sorry for the sound. Okay, I turn it off. All right. Stephanie, are we good on the recording? Okay, awesome. I see recording is ready. All right. Well, welcome to AMA. It's September 5th. We have a couple things on the agenda. We're going to talk about mission control, give an update. I think some missions were launched and a few things were fixed there. We have a live demo of Outpost Surge. We have a new mode that we're experimenting with, so we wanted to showcase that. And we'll remind everyone that the airdrop quest is live, so if you have a Baronaut, you can go over there and start earning points. So the more days you check in, the more points you're going to get. So definitely hurry over and make sure that's all set up. We're going to do a bit of Martian Resident, which super excited to show that. And then we have a few things Opal Adventure related that we're working on, so we'll talk about those as well. With that, I think, Charlie, if you want to give the dev update for the week, that'd be great.
All right. So to what Hunter was talking about, we have new innovation missions that are going to be releasing next week. We did some work on it this week. So that's we've been doing that on the mission control side, as well as we had the issue that we talked a little bit about last week with the skills page and the level progression and the modifiers, particularly around all-arounder. And those have all been fixed and pushed to production. So everything should be correct now as far as the level progression and modifiers go for specialties, including all-arounder. So we've got that work that we did. Then moving on into some of the other fronts, Opal Adventure, we did a lot of great work on Opal Adventure with upgrades and visual enhancements and leaderboards. And what we're hoping, and I've got my fingers crossed here, hoping that we can get a new drop to production tomorrow and get that out and have it in your hands and continuing to play there. We also, just to note a little bit on the design front, I know that Hunter and others were also working on some new aspects of the gameplay and some things like that. So look for some more exciting stuff in the near term for Opal Adventure. So really evolving that and making it cool. And then in Outpost Surge, we also did a ton of work this week. But in addition to that, we really have taken a lot of the resource chain gameplay, which is what Hunter's going to show you here. And we've really started to just kind of hone that from, I would say, like a gameplay and mechanic point of view. So yes, there's some visual work we're doing and some aspects of building out the game, but a lot of it too is really what's what's behind the game to make it a really great, playable, like fun game. And so a lot of work has gone into that, and you'll be able to see some of that. I'm sure Hunter will talk to some of that. And then, as Hunter talked about as well, some great progress just moving forward on Martian Resident. So that has just been moving forward at a great clip, and that's going to be awesome to show you as well. So that's what I have, Hunter.
Great, thank you. So yeah, this is the new mode for Opal Adventure. Nope, Outpost Surge. Sorry, I always mess it up because they both start with O. But what we're experimenting with here is a resource chain feature, and then we're really liking potentially transitioning from more cards to more library of a library style. So see, I don't have enough construction. I'm going to end my turn, do a little bit more construction here, and then I'm going to spawn a scouting drone, use that to kind of move around, just like we already know. Looks like I already found a mission there. And you can see we've updated some of the UI, so it's a little clearer how many you can go toward, or how many you can move. So I have 3 more I can move. Let's see. Yeah, and then once I get to 4, you can see I can't go anywhere. I can go down here. Okay. So I found 2 missions. We already kind of know how the missions work. We're experimenting with some ideas around unlocking new sections of the map based on mission completion. And now, like, it's pretty obvious that it's a very easy game, and one that doesn't it doesn't increase in skill and strategy. There's not a huge spectrum of skill and strategy needed. So we're looking to solve that either through like levels where you would unlock larger and larger pieces of the map, where you need to, do your missions, and it gets more complicated to maintain the settlement. But let me just kind of show, a couple things here. So I think, so you can see we like updated some of the UI, so you can right click and see what the cards do. Okay, so we're gonna build a solar panel array, and I believe let me turn there. Let's see, fuel generator. Okay, place 15 construction. So I'm going to play this, and you'll start to see this is where resource chain starts to get interesting. So what I can do is I can drag this and connect it here. So now I have power routing here, but you can see this requires 15 power. So I'm going to click the resource chain, and I'm going to give it 15 power. And so now this fuel plant is active. And the next thing I need to do is store the fuel. So I think it might automatically store the fuel right now. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so it does. So this one is storing fuel, which is cool. Some of them you need to connect them to storage facilities. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. But you can kind of see there's a connection here. Let me route some food. So that, yeah. Let's see. So small house, place 20 construction, requires 10 food. So I'm going to play one of these small houses. You can see now my constructible range increased. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag food here. And then we're going to go route some food. Now this is a unique one because it resupplies food units if all inputs are met. So food units are essentially, it's a new concept we're playing around with, where I'm going to play a astronaut now to the board. And the astronaut now has a food limit. Like basically, imagine they have a little satchel with their lunch in it or whatever. And once they run out of food, then they're in trouble. So the way to regenerate food on the astronaut is to move them onto points where you actually can restock, resupply food. One of those is a small house. So I can go ahead and I can move this astronaut, over here. You can see the food goes down to like 6. And then now I'm going to move the astronauts over here. And because the turn hasn't finished yet, there's no food in the small house yet. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish the turn. And my small house just died. So that sucks. I think we need to make the health a little bit better. But let's try that again.
It's the worst when houses die on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Small house dies. Okay, so let's draw this again. I'll move this so you can just see that the food is now at the food limit is probably at like 1 or 2. So I'm gonna end the turn. Please don't. Okay. So now you see that it recharged all of the food, or resupplied all the food. So I can click this now and press resupply. And when I move my astronaut back, you can see that it now has 10 out of 10 food. So now the idea is that essentially movement around the board, you kind of need to plan out where your resupply points are and then move astronauts around those so that they don't get damaged or killed. But basically the way that we're thinking about the penalty if you run out of food on the board is either the astronaut would damage your command center by like 1 health point if you kill an astronaut, or you destroy a vehicle because vehicles run out of power. Or we might have a efficiency score or some sort of report card for how efficiently you're managing your equipment. And so that might factor into the leaderboard score. So that way you're not just like doing what I did down here with my scouting drone, which is no longer there, where I just kind of I left it and forgot about it. And so because of that, I should pay some price. So just go over here real quick. Yeah. But feel free to ask any questions on this. It's very interesting. Like, you can obviously get quite complex with the layout. So if I have my small maintenance building here, I need to connect that with power. And what's cool is like I need 30 power to route to here. So I need to draw 2 solar panels to this and then increase all of them up to 30 in order to power up this maintenance building. So now this has the power it needs to run. You can see it just resupplied the power. And this one actually doesn't take in vehicles, but we don't have an icon for it. Or sorry, it doesn't take in astronauts. It takes in vehicles. So if I spawn, let's see, spawn a buggy here. And we'll move the astronaut to the buggy. Here. And now we're actually going to go. We're going to go complete this mission. So let's see. Yeah, we have a few. Yeah, okay. So just extracted those points. We'll move this astronaut back here. And now we should be able to move this guy on here. This technically is meant to represent the buggy, but you can see if I press recharge, and I can actually do this mid-turn, which I think is pretty important. Hang on, little visual bug there. You can see that it recharged the power. So you can actually resupply mid-turn. You just have a maximum amount of items you can resupply per turn. So in this case, I have 2 out of 3 left of like power resupplies. So unfortunately, my solar panel looks like that got destroyed. So I won't be able to power this anymore. So this power, even though it's routed here, this doesn't have enough power. So I need to build another one of these and connect that. Personally, I think like what we'll do is when you draw a line, we'll route the maximum amount of the resource available to the thing, so you don't have to click up every time. But yeah, you can imagine like more complex resource chains as you build out your settlements. I also think that we'll probably start moving towards items with more health points, or there's when an item goes to 0 health on the board, it doesn't get wiped off the board, but it goes into a damage state. It keeps all the resource chain connections and stuff, but you just need to maybe like move an astronaut onto it to repair it or something like that. So a little bit less penalizing in terms of strategizing your settlement, but I think that's a good direction. A couple other ideas we have is right now all these resource lines, they go through the hexes. And one thought we have is choosing a route to put your resource lines around the hexes and potentially requiring you to only have like one line in the gap. So it creates a little bit more of a puzzle to figure out when you're setting up your settlement. But that might be a little too restrictive, so we might not do that right now. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that. The library, in my mind, is a little bit better than the card collection, because what you can do is you can kind of decide what to play and have more flexibility there, which is nice. And as opposed to the card, the hands, you're sort of waiting for the cards you want to play, and it doesn't make quite as much sense. So yeah, we're testing out this library feature, and I think it's a pretty strong direction. So all right, so next let's do some Martian residents. Okay. All right, so we're obviously like super pumped about this. It's an amazing, it looks amazing. There's tons of improvements. I think the one you can notice right away is just the improvement in the textures, the detail, the sky, the atmosphere, all of that stuff. So there's things like road systems. There's a lot more. You can see if I just look at the terrain, we've dramatically increased the level of detailed, the procedural generation of the rocks and everything. I don't actually know what just happened. Sorry. All right, you guys can see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, we're back with Mark Watney. All right, so here's my mission menu. You can see there's other players here. There's a couple different vehicles. We're gonna do, yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah, well, yeah, let's fix the excavator. That's actually more interesting. Yeah, so you can see there's a variations in the texture as you're driving around. You can also see the dust coming up from the grounds, the tire tracks. So all like really, really amazing stuff. All right, so we're gonna get out here.
Talk a little bit about some of the stuff you're thinking about when you were doing the buggy driving, and some of the thoughts that you had in terms of what you think would be on Mars, like the technology on Mars.
Yeah. So one of the things that you notice when I drive the vehicles is the wheels are spinning and there's a little bit less traction. And the reason for that is, of course, there's microgravity, and so or partial gravity, sorry. And so it's a little bit less traction. And we really want to put in a great racing mode into this game, racing drones. The drone needs to fly a lot faster than this, so we're going to put that in. But the vehicles, like, they should feel really fun to play with. And so, and like drive around. And right now it feels kind of frustrating because sometimes you'll try to turn and then the wheels will spin out. And, that gets kind of frustrating. So what we're thinking about doing is there's a technology that might get added to the Tesla Roadster, which is cold air thrusters. And I actually think that that's quite a viable piece of technology for use on Mars. And the way it would work is it would just thrust in certain directions, almost like how spaceships use it to orient themselves in space. And that would increase the ability for handling in vehicles, down, forces down onto the vehicle, and basically make it perform a lot better. So we're going to do that. I think that can actually lead to some interesting ideas and innovations in vehicle design and technology for Mars, because physics here are matched to the physics on Mars, which is super cool. So like we can start studying some of the best ways to use vehicles, to drive vehicles, what's the most interesting and fun. But you can see here as I'm turning, there's a loss of traction there. And so it's almost like I'm in Tokyo Drift the entire time. Okay, so we just did that repair mission. We're gonna accept this mission. Let me make sure I have, okay, I have a repair kit, so I'm all good there. And see those, like, they just lose a little bit of traction. So anyways, with these roads put in place too, you can imagine the races that we can do. So we'll of course have like time trials, we'll have multiplayer racing. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, as you jump vehicles on Mars, you can obviously get some awesome airtime. But I also want to experiment with us being able to maneuver in midair, so you can actually slightly reorient the vehicle to land on the wheels in air. And I think it's a mechanic that a lot of racing games use. It's also very possible with cold air thrusters for that to be realistic, to kind of automatically land on the wheels if you ever jump. And I think vehicles on Mars, especially like with people, like regular people operating them, I think, yeah, people are going to want to have
Well,
fun. They're going to want to jump them.
and if we have when we have the first franchise of the Rocket League team on Mars, then we're going to need those thrusters. Like,
Yeah, so vehicle races, maybe we throw in a big inflatable soccer ball uh, for the vehicles to play around with. Who knows? But I think the esports potential there is quite nice. So, yeah, anyways, that's what we're thinking about with vehicles. The missions I just did, that's kind of the demo reel for like the interact with vehicles, buildings, astronauts, etc. But what we're going to do is now we're starting to put these pieces together, and we'll start putting them into stories, narratives. We'll have potentially some characters that you meet, and then you're of course going to be working towards objectives, whether it be buying a house, buying apartments, upgrading it, getting collectibles, going on exploration missions, rescuing astronauts, and all of that will be tied into an ISA style narrative that will most likely have a big AI component to it. So that's really where we're headed with the game. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do to get there, but you can see that the environment that we're in, the vehicles, the way that everything's looking, it's improved significantly. This is a build on Mac too, which is also really impressive. So this is running on a laptop, and of course you can make it look even better on a PC, with like a gaming PC. So what I just did there was, we're gonna have some of the interiors that you can walk around in, most likely starting with the personal living spaces, so that we can focus on customization and upgrading those as part of progression. But the airlocks are also used to resupply your repair and medicine kits. So you can see in the bottom left there, repair and medicine kits are now resupplied. Yeah, so, and then if I go to this maintenance building over here, and I just drive onto this, you can see that it also resupplies my vehicle's repair and medicine kits. So this means I can go out on more of an expedition and repair multiple things with my vehicle's capacity. So yeah, really excited about where this is headed. The map is huge. I'll just start driving around a little bit more. Charlie, if you can pull up if there's any questions, any comments, ideas from the group, let me know, and I'll just keep driving around a little bit.
Sounds good. We don't really have any right now. You guys got questions? We're here to answer them. All Hunter drives.
Through the great unknown.
Through the great unknown. I got to say, just watching the panoramic. Yeah, I got to say, like, I really love like the shadows, how crisp it is. It looks great. I mean, it looks, you really do get a feeling like you're on Mars driving around.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things we can do now is we'll have some areas like as you start driving beyond the colony limits, you really get into this basically full unknown. I mean, right now, unless I have my navigation equipment, it all looks kind of like a huge desert. And so we're going to have obviously like some pretty cool points of interest, some things to discover, artifacts to uncover, signs of life to explore, maybe even having to navigate and traverse between different far-reaching outposts. And so it's a lot to explore, and we really want it to feel like you're on Mars, and basically that you are Mark Watney, driving through, listening to the 80s tunes or whatever that album was on the movie, like the astronaut that left or had to go back up to orbit. She left like one CD in the rover, and it was some 80s music or something like that. It's pretty funny.
Hey, we got a question from John. John wants to know about if Marsha will be needed for anything in Resident.
Yeah, so the plan is still to integrate those together. The missions, you can see here, like, we're thinking maybe the reward would be in Marsha. We're also, it's possible for these missions to be coming in from the mission control game. So, in that way, in order to fulfill the needs of the settlement in mission control, you would have the missions in Martian Resident being completed. Marsha also, like, we're still figuring out what exactly to do with the in-game items here. We can obviously go in a bunch of different directions with collectibles, but really, like, what we're trying to figure out is the right items to utilize to improve your game objects and like make your vehicles better, increase some of the skills of your astronauts, etc. Oh, just drove off the map.
That's apparently Mars is flat.
So we just drove off the edge.
Oh, press one. Bata says to press one. Awesome. That's so great. There you coming back to Mars.
Nice.
Stephanie was asking about, do the wheel tracks persist?
Yes. Yeah, you can see they persist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so John, I guess to like finish my answer, I would say the tokenomics, like, we're still working that out. Sort of like how we're still working it out in Outpost Surge. And right now we're at the phase where we're still finding the fun and the gameplay loop and maximizing like what makes this game interesting. And to me, that's exploration, it's traversal, it's piloting vehicles in a skillful way, it's maintaining your oxygen reserves, your food, keeping your astronauts alive, exploring, all that stuff. So once we kind of get all of that feeling really good, then we can kind of take a pass at how we want to monetize the game, how we want to incentivize participation from mission control players. Like it's also very possible for us to have the Martian resident tickets purchasable in Martia. We'll just have to look at that, but I do think that's quite doable as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna quit out of this. Yeah, and then Opal, we have a couple things we're working on. So number one, we're adding in land. Land is essentially it has two functions. So the first one is you will buy land and then be able to auto mine on that land. And so it's kind of a big play towards managing your land and maintaining like a high automated mining number. So you'll buy it and then you'll upgrade your mining abilities on the land, and that will give you like a huge amount of opal per hour. And then once you buy a land plot, you'll unlock the ability to play a daily scanning game. And this scanning game gives you a opal bonus. But the challenge with the scanning game is you don't actually know where to scan. So you have to kind of guess at the right places to tap on the map in order to scan. So this is kind of what it looks like. So it's a bit of a luck game. And so you start here, and there will be like 5 rows of hexes. And you have to choose which one to scan. So if I chose this one on the right, I found opal. Basically, there's 1 opal to find per row, and you need to make it through all 5 rows. And the plan right now is to give you 6 scans, so you have 1 that you can fail at. If you don't find opal on one, then you can try again on another in that row. But the goal is to find 1 opal vein in each of the rows, and then you unlock this massive opal bonus. So it will be the same pattern for everyone on the land plots every day. Every day the pattern changes, but it will be the same for everyone per land plot. So this obviously encourages people to share the winning formula with their friends and get people to really log into the game, claim the bonus, buy more land, and essentially multiply their bonuses. Because each land plot you buy, you'll get the ability to do the scan for the bonus. So yeah, that's kind of the expedition game, or sorry, the scanning game. We also have leaderboards, which Charlie mentioned. Those should be going in probably this week, maybe early next week. We're working on implementing the level system. Levels go all the way up to level 60, and it just looks at your cumulative opal total. And so it's going to be really interesting to see the leaderboard once we publish this, because we have a lot of people playing, and this is just going to make it more competitive. So, yeah, and then we're also going to implement alliances, which those are essentially groups of like Telegram groups that you can just decide one Telegram group to join as an alliance in the game, and then your mining amounts get added to the alliance totals as well. And we'll probably have some rewards for the top performing alliances. So this is important just because it gets people to share the game and play with their friends, and we think that's a nice thing to do there. Yeah, we have some cool stuff coming for the login experience where it will show you how much Opal you've earned since you last logged in, as well as some tasks you can do to gain some more Opal. Yeah, so this game is really coming along as well. And yeah, we hope to have a new build out quite soon in the next couple days. All right.
I'm loving the upgrades, by the way, and the tools.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fingers love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's addicting. You're always, I think you just are drawn to opening Telegram, mining a bit. And, once we start getting some good traction on the users, we'll start working on the tokenomics, and how we want to utilize Opal on the TON network. But that's definitely coming out as we develop it. The land will be the cost will be varied based on the location of the land and the amount that it mines. We're also looking into energy refill upgrades as well, so you can refill energy faster. Any other questions on Opal Adventure?
Kimmy was talking about the speed of the energy refill.
Yeah, so we're looking at upgrades to increase the speed, but we just need to be careful about that so that it doesn't become too overpowered. There's also like a bug in there where your energy level, if you upgrade the solar field without upgrading all the solar panel arrays, it jumps automatically up to 4,000. It shouldn't do that. So the solar field, I believe, has I don't know. I think it has like a plus 1,000 to your energy limit. So it would actually just be plus 1,000, whatever your energy limit was. So it's just kind of mislabeled in the game. And so we're going to update that. Lands will only be for Opal. So in this case, the lands will only be in the Opal game. But of course, we're also developing like a full land experience for Mission Control. We just have quite a few plates spinning right now, and so we don't want to like start getting too far into that until we land the plane with Outpost Surge and Opal Adventure. Yeah, John. Or you can use an existing Telegram group. So like basically the way you invite, if you want to create an alliance, you essentially just put in the link to that Telegram group and it will register that Telegram group as an alliance in the system. And then it will send a message to that Telegram group to invite everyone to join the game. and then it will just pull in the name of that Telegram group and the picture into it. And then you'll start ranking up the alliance. A person that already have Opal can join my, yes, exactly. So if someone's already playing the game, there will be a join alliance button, and then they can browse alliances in a directory and then join whichever one they want. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on what you would want alliances, what benefits or rewards. If you found some interesting mechanics there, but I've seen, some games have bonuses. Other games do, some unique skill. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other thing is we want to put in a cosmetic, like a mission patch system or something that you can that shows your personality in the game and is either like a character or some sort of mission patch. And so those would be fair game for alliances as well. But we wanted to reward manually tapping a little bit more than automatic tapping, and so we're thinking about adding in a second gem type that would get randomly mined. There's like a small percentage of it getting mined, or are you finding one every time you tap? And those would be like ultra rare opals, and then you can use those to upgrade to do like cosmetic stuff, make your profile look cooler. Yeah, because tapping obviously is great because it gives us more engagement in the game, and eventually we really want to use Opal Adventure as a jumping off point for people to get into the other games we have, as well as showcasing some weekly science and space news, getting people more educated about Mars, and yeah, pointing people to the larger ecosystem we're building. Okay, cool. I'll look at Tap Monster. Thanks. All right. I think that's all. I think we're good. Thanks, guys,
right.
for sticking around. Looking forward to hearing some comments from the recording, people that are watching that later. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.